She casually answered a question in Dutch, right in front of a billionaire. The next day, he sent for her, and what he did will shock you. Anya Sharma adjusted a tablecloth on one of the long picnic tables under a large tent. The late afternoon sun warm on her back at the annual Horizon Tech Summer Social. Normally, she kept her head down, focused on her tasks, arranging cutlery, refreshing drinks, ensuring the buffet lines ran smoothly. Rule number 1 from event manager Ms. Davison, especially for temporary event staff: be invisible, be efficient. But as she passed a group of executives near a rose garden, she overheard a conversation that made her pause. They were attempting to assist a visiting delegation from the Netherlands who seemed confused about the schedule for the evening's activities, which was only printed in English. The executives were struggling with rudimentary phrases, and a clear misunderstanding was unfolding, causing mild embarrassment. "Miss Chien, kan ik helpen? Maybe I can help," Anya asked instinctively, stepping forward slightly, a tray of empty glasses in her hand. 3 startled executive faces turned towards her. The Dutch delegation looked surprised but hopeful. Anya, wearing the standard navy blue event polo shirt, felt her heart pound. She quickly explained the schedule details in fluent, clear Dutch, clarifying a few cultural points about the timing and purpose of the subsequent networking session. Her pronunciation was impeccable, her manner confident yet respectful. She even offered a quick, polite apology for the lack of multilingual signage. The lead Dutch executive smiled broadly. "Oh, thank you. That is so much clearer. Your Dutch is excellent. Dank you well. Geniet van de rest van de middag," Anya replied with a small smile before discreetly stepping back to resume her duties, melting back into the background of busy event staff. That was when she noticed the sudden silence near the rose bushes. She looked up and saw Mr. Wallace Sterling, the billionaire founder and CEO of Horizon Tech, standing a few feet away, watching her with an undisguised look of surprise. Next to him was event manager Ms. Davison, her eyes wide with fury. Anya swallowed hard and moved quickly towards the kitchen tent. "Sharma, my office first thing tomorrow." Ms. Davison's sharp whisper reached her before she disappeared behind the canvas flap. The walk back to her shared apartment that evening felt endless. Anya changed out of her event polo, the cheap fabric feeling scratchy against her skin. She thought about Ms. Davison's likely lecture, the reprimand for stepping out of line, for daring to speak when she was supposed to be silent support staff. At 29, she had a degree in linguistics with specializations in cross-cultural communication and language technologies, fluency in 6 languages, and several published academic papers. Yet here she was, working temp jobs like event setup to make ends meet. 6 years of sending out applications for analyst, international liaison, or content localization roles that vanished into corporate black holes. The next morning, she arrived at Ms. Davison's cramped office early, bracing herself. Ms. Davison was already there, face tight with irritation. "You know the rules, Sharma. Event staff do their job, they don't engage with guests, especially not high-profile ones, and certainly not in foreign languages. You embarrassed me. I was clarifying a misunderstanding for our international guests," Anya corrected, trying to keep her voice steady. "I don't care what you were doing. Your job was to set tables and pour drinks. You're assigned to trash duty for the cleanup tomorrow. Maybe that will help you remember your place." Ms. Davison's classic punishment for anyone showing initiative or stepping outside their narrow role. "You can go. And be thankful you're not being removed from the temp roster." As Anya left, head down, she heard her name called from the main office area. "Anya Sharma?" called Brenda, the executive assistant. "Mr. Sterling's office wants you right away. Top floor." Anya's heart leaped into her throat. Mr. Sterling's office was the realm of C-suites, a world away from the service corridors and event tents. In the elevator, she felt invisible as always, surrounded by executives in crisp suits discussing global markets. None of them even noticing her presence. Sharma called the executive assistant as soon as she entered the vast, sunlit office. "Please have a seat. Mr. Sterling will be right with you." Anya sat stiffly, preparing for the worst-case scenario involving Ms. Davison's complaint. Mr. Wallace Sterling, at 45, looked exactly as he did on magazine covers, sharp, focused. He walked in, took a seat opposite her, and consulted an open folder. Linguistics degree, specializing in cross-cultural communication. Fluent in 6 languages, 2 with strong Asian dialects. Published academic work on linguistic nuances in business negotiations. And working event setup for 6 years. Correct? Anya blinked, utterly confused. How did you, my resume? I asked my office to pull every Sharma in our system after I heard you speak Dutch yesterday, he said, leaning back slightly. What Anya didn't know was that this moment was no coincidence. What no one at Horizon Tech suspected was that behind that seemingly simple act of kindness at the outdoor lunch was a much bigger story. An unlikely connection that would not only transform Anya's life but expose a system of discrimination that for years had kept extraordinary talent hidden behind name tags and service uniforms. If this story of prejudice in the workplace stirs your indignation, sign up to find out how a few words in a foreign language during a company picnic would become the catalyst for a turnaround that not even the most powerful tech mogul could have predicted. For a few seconds, the vast office was completely silent. Anya sat still, her mind processing what she had just heard. Mr. Wallace Sterling knew who she was, really knew her, and not just as the anonymous event staff member everyone overlooked. 6 years, Mr. Sterling repeated, closing the file and crossing his arms. May I ask why a qualified cross-cultural linguist is setting up picnic tables instead of working on our international relations team or localizing content for global markets? Anya took a deep breath. I sent 47 applications to relevant departments over the years. All ignored. I tried for an internal transfer 12 times, through the official channels. Always denied. Denied by whom? Managers in various departments, sir, and applications often went through Mr. Garrett Finch, Director of Global Outreach. Mr. Sterling wrote down the name without batting an eyelid. Curious, he mused. Finch constantly complains about needing external consultants for international projects because of a lack of internal multilingual talent. Costing us a fortune, I might add. Especially for our European and Asian expansion. His eyes narrowed. What Mr. Sterling didn't say was that he had noticed a disturbing pattern. 3 months earlier, he had hired a consulting firm to discreetly investigate why his company had alarming turnover rates and seemed unable to promote qualified non-white employees into key global-facing roles, despite claiming to prioritize diversity. Anya, I'll be blunt. That Dutch delegation is here for crucial partnership talks this week. Mr. Finch's team seems unprepared for the cultural and linguistic nuances required. I need someone who can step in immediately and ensure these negotiations go smoothly. Starting now. And you want me to serve coffee in the boardroom? Anya asked, unable to hide her sarcasm. Mr. Sterling smiled briefly. I want you to be our lead cultural liaison for the Dutch delegation, temporarily. Salary $6,000 a week, starting today. Anya gasped softly, clutching her purse. It was more than she earned in 3 months of event work. Why me? There are people in global outreach. Mr. Finch. Because I heard you speak Dutch like a native, Mr. Sterling interrupted. Because you have the qualifications I need to salvage this crucial negotiation. And because I suspect there's something very wrong going on in how talent is identified and utilized in this company. An hour later, Anya stepped into the elevator with a new badge granting access to executive floors and meeting rooms. On her way to finalize paperwork in HR, she ran into event manager Ms. Davison, heading towards the executive offices, likely to file her complaint. The shock on the woman's face was priceless. Sharma, what are you doing on this floor? And, not in uniform? Ms. Davison, Anya replied calmly, holding up her new badge. Lead cultural liaison for the Dutch delegation. At the direct request of Mr. Sterling. Ms. Davison visibly paled, her mouth agape. Impossible. You don't have the qualifications to. Linguistics degree, specializing in cross-cultural communication. Fluent in 6 languages including Dutch and Mandarin, Anya interrupted smoothly, maintaining a professional tone. My resume, outlining these qualifications and my numerous transfer requests, has been in the company's HR system for 6 years. As the manager stammered out a weak excuse about oversight, Anya continued on her way. In the HR department, She found an unexpected ally, Anya K., a newly hired recruitment analyst who showed genuine enthusiasm. "Anya, finally," she exclaimed, seeing the new job code come up on the system. "I saw your file when I started 3 months ago and couldn't understand why someone with your qualifications was only listed in the temp pool for event staff." Anya K. confided as she processed the transfer. "I tried to bring up the number of highly qualified internal candidates in low-level roles to Mr. Finch, but he dismissed it immediately." That afternoon, as she reviewed the briefing materials prepared for the Dutch negotiation, Anya noticed something disturbing. The translated documents and cultural notes were riddled with inaccuracies, awkward phrasing, and outright errors that could easily lead to misunderstandings or even offense. It was clear the work had been done by someone with only a superficial understanding of the language and culture. "How did you spot these errors so quickly?" asked Mr. Sterling, who had popped into the meeting room. "This isn't just bad translation, sir," Anya explained, pointing to a section. "It uses informal language where formal is required, and it completely misses key cultural cues regarding negotiation protocols. Whoever prepared this knows the basics but lacks real fluency and cultural competence." Mr. Sterling nodded thoughtfully, his face grim. "Finch assured me he hired the best external consultants for this. Cost a fortune. He hired someone unqualified, perhaps without checking their credentials properly," Anya corrected, highlighting a specific phrase that, while technically translated, carried an insulting undertone in formal Dutch. The next day, Anya excelled, navigating complex discussions with grace and precision, translating not just words but intent and cultural context. During a break, she was approached by Mr. Garrett Finch, the Director of Global Outreach, a man who had never deigned to speak to her before yesterday. His smile didn't reach his eyes. "Miss Sharma, quite a performance," he said, trying to sound congratulatory. "Ms. Davison clearly misjudged your linguistic skills." "Thank you, Mr. Finch," Anya replied calmly. "It's impressive how my resume listing fluency in 6 languages and cross-cultural communication expertise was overlooked for 6 years, especially when the company spent hundreds of thousands on inadequate external liaison and translation services for international partners." Finch's smile faltered. "There must be some misunderstanding. My team handles. I received confirmation of receipt for every application and internal transfer request I sent over the last 6 years. Mr. Finch," Anya interrupted calmly, meeting his gaze. "Including those where I specifically offered my expertise in multiple languages relevant to our global markets." What Anya didn't mention was that Anya K. had given her access to the external consultant contracts. The primary firm used for linguistic and cultural liaison services belonged to Finch's niece, Lauren, who had no proven expertise in business linguistics or cross-cultural negotiation but charged exorbitant rates. Worse, records showed this pattern of using unqualified, expensive contractors for years, while Anya and potentially others with relevant skills languished in overlooked roles. On the 3rd day of negotiations, something unexpected happened. One of the Dutch executives, chatting with Anya during a coffee break, recognized her name. "Anya Sharma. Wait, aren't you the author of that paper on implicit bias in cross-cultural business communication? I read that in grad school." Anya confirmed, surprised to be recognized. "Yes, that was mine. A brilliant analysis," the executive exclaimed, calling colleagues over to meet her. Mr. Sterling watched from afar, noticing how Finch seemed increasingly uncomfortable. What the director didn't realize was that while he tried to maintain control, Anya was weaving a web that would reveal not just isolated incompetence, but an entire system of institutionalized discrimination and corruption that had kept genuine talent suppressed while inflated contracts were directed to unqualified family members. What no one at Horizon Tech realized was that the black event staff member who answered a question in Dutch wasn't there by accident. Behind that seemingly simple temporary assignment, a plan was unfolding that would not only change Anya's life but expose a system of discrimination that affected dozens of employees. The question was no longer whether she could prove what had happened, but how devastating the truth would be when it came to light. On the morning of the 4th day, the final agreements were signed, exceeding all expectations thanks to Anya's skilled mediation. As she walked through the office, she noticed something disturbing. Finch was briefing his niece, Lauren, near the conference room, handing her a stack of official-looking documents. "Lauren, your summary reports are adequate," he said in a low, controlled tone. "Just ensure these official versions are distributed." Anya recognized the niece instantly from the contractor records. A quick glance at the top document as she passed confirmed her suspicions. It was a set of summaries meant for the international partners, containing the same kind of subtly flawed language and cultural misinterpretations she had corrected previously. "Mr. Sterling needs to see this," Anya thought, hurrying to the CEO's office. Mr. Sterling was reviewing the signed contracts when she entered unannounced. "Sharma, what's going on?" "Mr. Finch is distributing inaccurate summaries of the signed agreements to the Dutch delegation. Done by his niece," Anya explained, showing him a photo she'd quickly taken on her phone. "They contain the same kind of errors I fixed, potentially undermining the whole deal." Mr. Sterling stood up abruptly. "Are you absolutely sure?" "I have everything documented, sir. And I found records showing his niece's consulting firm has received payments 3 times above market rate for years for inadequate services, while qualified internal candidates like me were systematically rejected for relevant roles." As they spoke, Anya Kay from HR rushed in. "Mr. Sterling, sorry to interrupt, but I found something you need to see right away," she said, handing him a folder. "Internal application and promotion records for the last 5 years. A consistent pattern of rejecting qualified non-white candidates, especially women, for global and client-facing roles, often with notes citing cultural fit or communication style." Mr. Sterling flipped through the documents, his face hardening with each page. The outside investigation had detected something, but this is systematic. At that moment, Finch entered the office without knocking. "Richard, I need those summaries distributed. The Dutch delegation is about to depart. Has Sharma caused some confusion?" The silence that followed was icy. Mr. Sterling walked slowly to the door and closed it. "Garrett, I'm looking at payment records for hundreds of thousands of dollars for incompetent cultural liaison work by your niece," Mr. Sterling said, his voice dangerously calm. "While we have truly qualified people setting up picnic tables." "Any explanation?" Finch paled visibly. "I don't know what you're talking about. We hire the best consultants." "Your niece, Garrett," Mr. Sterling interrupted, pointing to the documents. "Lauren Finch, with zero proven expertise in business linguistics or cross-cultural relations. Her firm is a shell." Anya finished, placing a printed email on the table from a university registrar's office confirming Lauren Finch had never completed a relevant degree. Finch shot Anya a look of pure hatred. "You're nobody. Event staff who thinks she can play with the executives. PhD in linguistics specializing in cross-cultural communication from a top university," Anya corrected calmly. "With 6 published academic papers recognized internationally. All in the HR files you've overseen for years, Garrett," Mr. Sterling interjected, his voice steely. "I've called an emergency board meeting in 30 minutes. By then, I want your resignation letter on my desk." "You can't be serious," Finch laughed nervously. "Because of this. Choose your next words with extreme care, Garrett," Mr. Sterling warned. 2 hours later, the executive auditorium was packed. All managers, supervisors, and directors had been summoned urgently. In the front row, key clients and partners waited curiously. Ms. Davison, the event manager, looked confused, sitting next to other department managers. Mr. Sterling took the stage, Anya at his side. "Today, we uncovered a systematic scheme of discrimination, nepotism, and financial malfeasance that has cost this company millions, damaged our reputation, and kept extraordinary talent hidden," he announced gravely. "For years, managers such as Mr. Garrett Finch and Ms. Sarah Davison have implemented unofficial policies that have harmed not only our employees but also our bottom line and our ability to operate effectively on a global stage." A presentation began behind him showing comparative charts of employee qualifications versus positions, hiring and rejection statistics by race, gender, and perceived cultural fit, and overpriced contracts with shell companies linked to managers' family members, cross-referenced with documented failures in international relations and communication. Ms. Sharma, whom some of you knew only as event staff, Mr. Sterling continued, saved our company from a major diplomatic and financial disaster this week by leveraging skills that were deliberately overlooked for years. The Dutch executives nodded in recognition, some applauding quietly. As a result of this investigation, Mr. Garrett Finch has been terminated for cause, Mr. Sterling announced. Ms. Sarah Davison is suspended while we complete our investigation into her involvement. And effective immediately, we are implementing a complete audit of all hiring and promotions over the past 5 years. The room fell into shocked silence. Ms. Davison, now pale, stared at the floor. And finally, Mr. Sterling smiled slightly. I am pleased to announce that Dr. Anya Sharma is being named our new Vice President of Global Communications and Cultural Integration, overseeing all our international relations, localization efforts, and talent development programs related to global markets. The auditorium erupted in applause, some hesitant, many enthusiastic, especially from the support and service staff sitting in the back, who applauded with tears in their eyes. As she left the stage, Anya noticed Finch being escorted out of the building by security guards, his face contorted into a mask of impotent rage. As he passed Anya, he muttered, "You won't last a month." Anya just smiled serenely. In the pocket of her newly acquired blazer was a recording device, the same one that had captured every threat and dismissive comment Finch had whispered over the past few days as he desperately tried to cover up his scheme. That night, in her new office overlooking the city, Anya finally allowed herself to cry. They weren't tears of sadness, but of deep catharsis. 6 years of setting tables and pouring drinks while her potential was denied. 6 years of your resume must have gotten lost, and maybe you're not the right cultural fit. She picked up the phone and called her mother, who had sacrificed everything to pay for her education. "I did it, Mom," she said simply, her voice breaking. What no one at Horizon Tech could have predicted that day was that the real transformation was just beginning. While some executives were still digesting the shock of seeing old privileges crumble, others were already realizing the inevitable truth. True talent, when finally unleashed, not only corrects past injustices but completely redefines the future. The fall of Finch and his discriminatory scheme was only the first chapter in a complete overhaul that would shake the foundations not only of that company but potentially impact hiring practices across the industry. And it all started with a few words in Dutch at a company picnic. 6 months had passed since that fateful day when Anya answered a question in Dutch at the Horizon Tech Summer Social. What had once been an isolated case of personal justice had turned into a silent revolution in how the company identified and nurtured talent. Anya's corner office on the 32nd floor now overlooked the city skyline. A discreet plaque on the oak door read, Dr. Anya Sharma, VP of Global Communications and Cultural Integration. The salary was substantial, a true executive compensation package, but the real power lay beyond the title or financial compensation. The Inclusive Talent Initiative Steering Committee is assembled and waiting, Dr. Sharma, announced Anya K., now her executive assistant and close friend. All regional international teams are on the conference call. Anya nodded, taking a deep breath before entering the conference room where Mr. Wallace Sterling and the board of directors were waiting for her. It was the day of the final presentation of the Hidden Voices program, a personal initiative Anya had developed to identify and promote qualified employees with valuable linguistic, cultural, or communication skills who were systematically overlooked throughout the company, often relegated to support, administrative, or service roles. The results of the pilot program have exceeded all of our expectations, Anya began, presenting the numbers on the screen. In just 6 months, we identified 210 employees with high-level skills in languages, cross-cultural communication, regional market knowledge, and international relations who were in roles well below their capabilities, in facilities, administration, customer support, and yes, event staff. 87% of them were from minority backgrounds or non-traditional career paths. Mr. Sterling nodded approvingly. The program had been a key priority since Anya's promotion, aimed not just at fixing her individual situation but changing the entire system of talent discovery. Most impressive, Anya continued, is the strategic and financial impact. External consultant costs for international projects are down 85%. Success rates for global market entry and international negotiations are up 48%. Our global employee satisfaction is significantly improved, and our diversity metrics in client-facing and global roles are now industry-leading. All this while providing real, impactful opportunities to people who are already part of our team, boosting morale and retention. Across the country, Ms. Sarah Davison watched the conference broadcast from a small branch office. After an extensive investigation, she had escaped termination by accepting a demotion and transfer. Now she managed the supply closet at a remote facility, a daily humiliation for someone who had once held power by enforcing rigid hierarchies and rejecting potential based on prejudice. The next expansion of the Hidden Voices program will include a mandatory cross-departmental mentorship component, Anya explained. Each promoted individual commits to identifying and supporting other overlooked employees with potential, ensuring these pathways remain open. Mr. Garrett Finch was not attending the conference. After his dismissal and the public revelation of his nepotism and discriminatory practices, no reputable company in the tech or global outreach sectors would hire him. Allegations had permanently tarnished his name. Rumor had it that he was now managing operations for a struggling local nonprofit, far from the executive suites he once commanded. His niece Lauren had had to return all her inflated payments and was now, ironically, enrolled in an accredited cross-cultural communication program, funded in part by a new scholarship created by the Sterling Foundation for Inclusive Global Talent. In closing, Anya said, turning directly to the camera that broadcast to all company locations, "I want to share something personal." She paused, letting the silence fill the room. "When I was little, my mother worked service jobs, cleaning, kitchen help, in big buildings like the ones Horizon Tech occupies. She had a college degree, but she never got a job in her field. She always told me, 'Anya, no matter how much they try to make you feel invisible, your worth is not dependent on their recognition.'" Anya took a deep breath, maintaining her composure. "My mother passed away believing that some doors would never open for people like us. She never lived to see this moment, to see that her sacrifice was worth it." Across the room, several executives, many newly promoted through the Hidden Voices program, wiped away tears discreetly. The true strength of a company isn't just its financial success, Anya concluded, her voice clear and strong, but the full human potential it recognizes and unleashes. For decades, industries like technology buried extraordinary talent under service uniforms and administrative titles, assuming that people of certain colors, accents, or backgrounds were only fit for invisible roles, or that valuable global skills only came from elite institutions or external consultants. "We are changing that." Mr. Sterling stood up, applauding, followed by the entire room and hundreds of employees watching remotely. Later that day, Anya received an email in her office. It was from the Dutch executive who recognized her paper, offering her a position on an international trade advisory board, citing her unique blend of academic knowledge and practical experience. Professor De Vries, the one who made that call about her paper acceptance months ago, had also followed her story and sent a note expressing pride. Ironically, Anya thought as she looked out the window at the city, "I have Ms. Davison to thank for punishing me that day at the picnic. If she had simply given me a warning, I might still be setting up tables, my potential unknown." The next day, Anya officially launched a scholarship fund for Horizon Tech employees and their children seeking education in global studies, linguistics, or international business, financed in part by her new compensation package. The first beneficiary, the daughter of her former colleague from the event staff team, who dreamed of working in international client relations. What began as a few helpful words in Dutch at a company picnic had sent ripples that now spread far beyond Horizon Tech, changing how talent was perceived and cultivated, not just within the company but potentially inspiring change across the corporate landscape. The message was clear. Talent exists everywhere, often hidden in plain sight. What is lacking are opportunities and recognition. True justice is not just punishing those who discriminate, but actively rebuilding systems so that prejudice has nowhere to hide and every voice, no matter how seemingly quiet or hidden, has a chance to be heard and valued. Anya's sweetest revenge was not seeing her antagonists fall, but watching hundreds of people like her finally rise. If this story moved you and made you reflect on how silent prejudice can stifle extraordinary talent, leave your comment and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories about people who have turned injustice into platforms for real change. After all, The greatest lesson Anya teaches us is that true greatness isn't about overcoming barriers alone, but about ensuring the doors remain open for everyone who comes after.